And I'm so sorry that we were not live a minute ago because Dwight and I just completely lost it. We're trying to get over it. That's what happens when you have friends on here, and then something is said before the cameras roll. And we actually started it, and then Adrian had to stop us because we were completely out of control. So anyway, it's good to have Dwight Richardson with me. And I was kidding him before we went on because at Allied Arts, he's been called everything on the roll. Yeah, Doug Richards and Dwight Richardson. Anyway, it's Dwight Richardson, and Dwight is here today to talk about one of his little loves, and which is spirits, legends, and lores.
Nancy, thank you so much. Do I need to call you Ms. Neighborhood? Is that your last name?
Oh, please do, please do. Please call
I'm
me
sorry,
Ms.
I'm getting hot under these lights
Woo,
again.
golly, yes, here we go.
I want to personally thank you for what you have done already to promote this. You have been outstanding, and I appreciate it.
Well, you're so welcome.
You got a copy of the banner. They were outstanding today.
Absolutely, great.
And they're going to run one more article. I got a
super.
text today that they're going to run something else. This is the 11th annual Spirits, Legends, and Lore.
I just find that hard to believe. 11.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it started, is it okay if I tell kind of how it started?
Yes, let's do it.
It started out as an alternative to Halloween. Everybody has a haunted house, and everybody has something, trunk or treat or whatever. Mm-hmm. We wanted to come up with something different, an alternative that still is spooky and Halloweenish, but is different than the other. So we came up with this storytelling event, and originally we had a walking tour with this, which was wonderful.
Yes.
People loved that the best, and we did tours every 15 and 20 minutes, and I mean, we were packed out. People had to wait an hour and a half sometimes to get to the storytelling. And we had it at the Bank of Cleveland downtown. It was, all the lights were out. They had candles. If you've ever been to the Bank of Cleveland, in the first two floors, whatever, those floors squeak and squeak and carry on, and it was a perfect venue. But after a few years, every year it seemed like it would rain.
I was going to say, the walking around the weather wasn't always conducive.
And people still want to come, but if it's raining, they're not going to come, and I don't blame them.
Right.
So after 2 years in a row of that happening, we had too much effort and too much stuff to do, so we thought, well, maybe it's time to move this indoors. So that's what we've done, and it's been very well received. It could snow, rain, doesn't make any difference. We can still have this event. We still would love to do the tour.
I know.
People love that, and it's one of our favorite, but you just never know what the weather's going to do. And this year, this event will be moved from Lee University to the Venue Creekside.
Right.
Now, there wasn't anything wrong with Lee University. We love them, and they've been very good to us. It's just we had a conflict of the date we wanted to do it.
Because
they have their plays and whatever. So Rob Alderman of the Alderman Group has made it possible for us to go to Creekside. He's paying the bill as a in-kind sponsor. We're tickled to death for that. I went today to the Venue Creekside. People are going to love this venue. It's all one level. There's no steps. There's plenty of parking.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have a lot of signage so people can see. If you're not familiar with where Venue Creekside is, it's behind Burrito Express, kind of across the street from Mullinex Lincoln Mercury. It's the old theater that used to be at the Village Green. So if you know where Starbucks at, just follow Jones Management, and it's over here in the corner. It's easy to find once you get in there, but people are going to love that. It's very comfortable, and you don't have to worry about anything, just sit there and enjoy it.
Right. And there's something else coming up before your event, on the date your event is, the Ocoee Theater Guild is having Wait Until Dark there.
I hear that's a wonderful, scary play.
Yes, that's what I
haven't
hear.
seen it, but I've heard it's really going to be very nice. I saw the set today, and it's quite unique.
Wow. Okay, so I will talk about that later, but I want you to get your full time in here. So we have spirits, legends, and lore, and most of these are sort of kind of true.
Of course they are, Miss Neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Richards. Okay.
All of you could trust us. All of these stories are true. We may have embellished a little bit, but there is some true fact to most all of this stuff.
All right. We just have to find it.
We
Is
just
that
gotta
what you-
find the
okay.
fact, that's
I
right.
got you, okay. And I'm not going to be here this year, and I hate it like the dickens.
I know.
I really do. And I know when you were planning it, I said, please don't have it on this date. And you said, we don't care whether you're there or not, just send your money. So I sent my money.
I want to say publicly, because you're not going to be here, you didn't have to do anything.
Oh, well,
But
yes, I
you
did.
love the arts, you love this event, and you are still a sponsor, and we appreciate
Well,
that much.
and I gave my 2 tickets in a Halloween basket at a Junior Achievement fundraiser, so I'm not sure, but somebody's coming. They were
Good.
tickled to death
Good,
to
good.
get the 2 tickets. So,
Good. Well, we
all right.
thank you for that.
So now tell everybody kind of how this is going to work.
Okay, this is Tuesday night, the 29th of October.
Mm-hmm.
And be one show only. We have done 2 to 3 shows in the past. We're just going to do one show.
I think that's good.
Starting at 7 o'clock, so you'll be out by 8:30ish,
Yeah.
something like that. We have some wonderful storytellers this year. We have some coming back that have done the same. And it's okay if I tell who they are?
Yes, let's do.
We have Deborah Nerren Holland, who's one in the Storytelling Guild. She is going to be telling about bloodstains on the mausoleum, which is one of our favorite stories.
Yes, and she does a
That
great
was the
job
one
with
we
that.
always love to go to that mausoleum, but
Yes.
it's fine. This will be great. Now, she has, several years ago, she came up with this Nina Craigmile song that she come up with
Yes, and
that's really kind of eerie.
It
And
is.
it is a nice little song.
And she sings it
She
as
sings
she
it.
comes in to tell her story.
Yeah,
Wow.
you'll enjoy her.
Yes.
Judy Baker, who's one of our charter storytellers from this event, a great storyteller. She's telling a new story this year about, Grandy apples or growly apples, the
Okay.
growly apples. It's kind of, if you came last year, I think you did.
I did.
We told the story about the vampire chair.
Yes.
And the vampire chair was just a plain chair, and it disappeared from a so-called vampire's home that was torn down. So that chair could be in anybody's house,
be at my
in
house.
anybody's living room. Well, this is growly apples, and it's about an apple tree that produce these certain kind of apples. And this is a great story about an apple tree that could be in your backyard from a seed. It could be any apple tree out there. It's a great
Wow.
little story.
Okay.
Great story.
And did Judy write this?
Yes.
She does a lot of writing of the stories that
Yeah.
are told.
As a matter of fact, she tweets a
Embellishing,
lot of
I
our
should
yeah.
say. Embellishing.
She
She
tweets a lot of our
embellishes the
stuff.
stories. Okay.
Dan Buck will be back again this year. He's a wonderful storyteller. I believe he is in theater there at Lee University. Let's see, I can't tell you off the top of my head what he's doing. It may come to me. Connie Gatlin is going to be telling one of my favorite stories about the day Cleveland cried. And if you remember that
yeah.
story, it's about 3 of our young men, Hardwick and Steed, and can't remember the other guy, but they were prominent people in Cleveland in the 1800s. They were on their way to go to the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. It was being dedicated, just had been built. They wanted to go see the dedication. They didn't quite make it to Paris. They had a fate just a few miles down the road from our depot in Thaxton, Virginia. It's a sad story, but it's a total true story.
Right.
And the monument, can't remember where we are here, the monument in the middle of
Right.
Ocoee
Where
yeah,
Ocoee and Broad come together.
there's a monument dedicated to them.
Right.
And I just recently found out the library, the new library, that was the Hardwick home.
Yes.
That was where one of the boys lived.
Oh, okay.
I didn't realize that.
I don't know
till
that I knew
recently.
that. I knew it was Hardwick
So,
Home, but
yeah.
I didn't know it was one.
But
they lived in.
it's a good story. It's a sad story,
Right.
but it's
But
a good
it's
historical
true.
story.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah, Pete Vanderpool's back again. He won't be dressed as Santa Claus this year, but he will be telling his story, and he always does a wonderful
He
job.
does, because he is a storyteller.
Yeah, and Rob Alderman. What can I say about Rob Alderman? You never know what he's going to do.
Absolutely. He
You
was
know,
hysterical last year.
It will be fabulous.
It will be.
But
It
you
will be.
never know really
No.
what he's going to do.
No.
And we've kind of created a story for him. Judy's come up with about the Copper Hill Mines.
Oh, okay.
And he'll be telling the story about that.
Okay.
So we don't know how he'll be dressed in costume yet, but
I think he was a monk
be something.
last year?
He was a monk last
Okay.
year.
All right.
And when I gave him that story last year, he said, "Now you know I'm really a monk." And I said, "Huh?" He said, "I'm really a monk." He said, "Thank you for giving that story." Well, for a second, I thought, well, maybe he's telling the truth, but he can lie so good.
absolutely, absolutely.
And make up stuff so
Right,
good.
right.
That's why he's such a good storyteller. You never know what part is true and what part he's just
That's
making up.
exactly right.
He's a great guy.
Yes.
And Tim Poteet will be back again this year. He's I got tickled at you promoting this because
That may not be what I was saying.
The
May not be
name
what
of the
he's doing.
song is "Bringing Mary Home."
What did I say? Driving
Driving
Miss
Mary,
Daisy?
Miss Daisy, whatever.
I think
Whatever
I
it
did
was.
say Mary.
Oh gosh, I'm getting hot again. The spirits legendor. But anyway, it's a wonderful Erie song.
It is.
That was written in the 50s, I believe it was, and it was really a bluegrass kind of song at
Right.
the time, but he adapts it real well. Erie song about a little girl that appears on the side of the road, and she happens to be 13 years old. I don't want to give the song away.
No, and she needs a ride home.
But she needs a ride home, and she gets 13 rides home that night.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
a great song.
It is a great song.
And I'm leaving, Brandi, our last year. We're going to have Sheriff Joe Guy from McMinn County. He's McMinn County Sheriff.
Yes.
Now, I've been told I need to call him Joey. Is that correct?
If you call him Joey, you need to say Miss Nancy said I could call you Joey because I had him in second grade and he was Joey then. And he has said his mother, his wife, and Miss Nancy can call him Joey. Nobody else.
So I better say Joe Guy, right?
I think you should. Sheriff Joe Guy. Mhm.
He's McMinn County Sheriff, and I'm telling you, this man is a great storyteller.
He is. He
loves,
learned that in second grade.
He told a lot of. Can you tell us a story
No,
from
I'm not going
second
to tell you any
grade?
stories about him. He was a precious child, and he was a good student. And he has thanked me and Ellen Early Sally Early, I'm sorry, forever for getting him interested in history. Because he said it was second grade and eighth grade that he found his love for history.
Yeah.
And he's McMinn County's historian. And I'll take any credit you want to give me, Joey, because I love you. You're a sweetheart. But anyway, he's written several books.
Yeah.
And he's a great storyteller.
Well, he's really into history.
Yes,
and
he is.
He had heard of our event. He had never been. And I ran across him when we both did storytelling at Supper with the Spirits. It was at the cemetery there behind First Baptist Church in
Right.
Calhoun.
Yes.
And that's the first time I got to meet him, so I thought, gosh, we got to get this guy because he's a great storyteller.
a great
so
storyteller.
We're excited. He's going to be telling the story of a true story, I think it is, from my understanding, murder at oh shoot, what is it? Murder at Camp
No.
Camp Cove.
No.
Oh shoot! I'm sorry. I thought I had this in my
Crazy
head.
Creek. No.
Spivey Cove.
No, Spivey Cove.
Murder
yeah.
at Spivey Cove
Yes.
Campground.
Yes. Yes.
And he's told me, he said, "Now I want all the lights out," and he said, "I'll just be using a flashlight." So it's going to be
Oh, my
good.
goodness.
It's going to be good.
Oh my goodness.
And I appreciate his dedication.
Yes. Now, Brandi King, people will know Brandi from her television days.
Yes.
When she wasn't Brandi King,
Was this Sarah something?
Sarah Jennings.
Sarah Jennings.
And
yeah.
so but now she's with Whirlpool, and so she's going to tell a story.
She's going to be telling a story that one of our favorites called the Charleston Ghost.
Yes.
And the Charleston Ghost is a true folklore area of Charleston, Tennessee, when back in the 1800s they had a flood, and a monk was on a train from Boston going to Knoxville area. And somehow or another, coming through Calhoun and Charleston there, that train derailed near Dr. Brasmore's house. And Dr. Brasmore treated a lot of the injured, and this monk helped him treat these people, and was seen by many people for several days. All of a sudden, the monk disappeared. Nobody could find him.
Don't tell them any more of the
And
story.
years later, Dr. McClary bought Dr. Brasmore's house. And in renovating that home and tearing out some of the walls, they found a monk's habit and the robe and the beads inside the walls.
Yes.
Now, it just so happens, I didn't realize this till I did it, but I gave Brandi that story, the Charleston Ghost. And she said, "You're not going to believe this." And I said, "Well, what?" She said, "Dr. McClary is my grandfather."
Isn't that amazing?
And she said, "I have Dr. McClary's desk that sat in that home when he owned that home in Charleston."
Does she have the monk's robe?
I don't know
And the
about
beads?
that. I don't
Oh
know
my
about
gosh.
that.
Oh my gosh.
But,
Okay.
but I just thought, how neat.
That is
we
really
got a
neat.
granddaughter of
Yes.
the true one of the storytellers in that
that's
story.
wonderful. That is absolutely.
It is
All right,
fabulous.
now let's tell everybody it's October the 29th, and that's a what day of the week?
That is a Tuesday.
Tuesday. A Tuesday, and it starts at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Now, tickets can be purchased.
At the Bank of Cleveland downtown, or you can purchase those at the Chamber of Commerce. Either one would be fine.
And they're $10 for adults, $5 for students. But now, and I've told people, we don't want 3 and 4 year olds in there so that when we turn the lights off, they start crying.
Right, right.
Because it ruins everybody's fun. We
It's
don't
not
want
a
that.
haunted house. Nobody's going to stab anybody, but
Right.
it's not appropriate because of the darkness issue of children under 6.
Right.
I had never really thought a lot about that. I know we've had that rule for a while.
Yes.
But 2 years ago, we had a 5-year-old
Yes.
that was there. She started whimpering because she was scared. She whimpered to about 3 or 4 stories, and
Yes.
it just distracted.
It does. It takes
And
everybody else's
I felt
joy.
bad for her, and I felt bad for her family.
Right.
But it's just not appropriate for children under
Right.
that age.
Right. And everybody will enjoy it. And it's like Dwight says, it's not really scary. Some of the stories will make you think, oh, what's getting ready to
A little
happen?
suspenseful.
They're suspenseful. That's a good word for it. But it's a lot of fun. You've got some great storytellers. And like I say, I am so sorry I'm not going to be there. But I will be there in spirit.
In spirit.
I'll be there in spirit. And so if you see something floating around in the air, you'll know that's me from Dublin, Ireland. So, Dwight, thank you so much for being on. And I want to thank Dwight for coming because we're upstairs at Andrew Johnson Bank, and the elevator is broken and has been broken for 2 or 3 years. And Dwight just had hip replacement
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, and he climbed an entire flight of stairs to get up here. So I appreciate him, and he's going to be on with me again on the next show. Hopefully, going to bring somebody with him.
Joey, maybe I can get Joey.
Guy. I wish Joe would come. I'd love to see him. But it was real. I'll tell this story real quickly. I hadn't seen Joe in a long, long time, and I taught him in 2nd grade, so he was a little scamp then, and he had a book signing at the museum. So I called over to the museum and I said, tell Joe that Miss Nancy can't get there, but I want him to sign some books, and here's my credit card. And so he comes in the shop and delivers the books. And the first thing he says was, I remember you being a lot taller. and he's bald-headed now. And I said, and I remember you having a nice head of hair, Joe. So here we go. Anyway, big hug. So glad to see each other. So I just love watch me say I love the child. I do. He's a fantastic guy. He's done so great. His wife was in 2nd grade at Inglewood. This was at Inglewood Elementary also, but she was not in my class. She was in the class next door.
Got my phone here.
That's okay. You forgot to turn it off, didn't you? And Dwight's also in real estate, and he gets calls all the time. So, Dwight, thank you so much for being on with me today. And I will see you next show so that we can talk some more about this, and hopefully with another storyteller. And if you want to bring Sheriff Guy, I think that'd be awesome.
Okay, thank you.
I really
Thank you
do.
for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
I thank you for
Everybody's
doing
welcome.
this.
It's a public event.
Yes, and you just have to have a ticket, and it's the best if you don't wait till get to the door. There will be tickets to the door if there's seating, but if there's not seating, you'll have to stand up.
Yep. Right.
So anyway, until the fire marshal says nobody else can come in the door. Okay,
Right.
Dwight, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a little bit of break. I told you Lauren is not here today to produce, and Adrian's in the sound booth, and he's already doing jumping jacks and crossing his eyes and going and all kinds of things. So we're going to take a little commercial break. Don't go away. I'll be right back to tell you some other things that are happening coming up in Cleveland, Brandi County. So I'll be right back.